Hi and welcome to another writing vlog where I'm finally starting editing my fourth draft. This year my goal is to finish the fourth draft of my current work in progress, which I'm calling Project Prehistory. So far this year I've read the third draft, a fast read, and then I read it again, which was a more thorough read. Then I read my beta reader feedback, and after that I tried to solve the issues that are in chapters 4 to 13. I documented part of that process in my previous vlog. After that I read the manuscript for the third time, and this was a really nitpicky, ruthless read where I was looking for everything that I could cut. So I found a lot of paragraphs, sentences, in some cases even scenes that I could just delete that I don't think need to be there. So last week I transferred all my notes from paper to the Word document, and I also transferred my beta reader feedback to the Word document. And while I was doing that, I also made the most obvious changes. So if I knew I wanted to change the wording, for example, or if I knew for a fact that I want to delete certain things, I made those changes already. So one of the issues that I have with this book is that it's quite long. The third draft was 158,431 words, and after making those initial changes to the manuscript, my word count currently is 149,459. So just by making those initial changes, I've already managed to delete 9,000 words from the manuscript. There are things that I need to add to the text, and there are also things that I've deleted that need to go back to the text to some other place. So the word count will go up, but there are also a lot of places where I can condense the text. So I'm hoping that by the end of the fourth draft, my word count will be closer to 140,000. So somewhere between 140 and 145 would be really good. In a previous vlog, I talked about repeated words that I noticed that keep cropping up in the text. So for example, turned, seemed, leaned, trudged, and I've written down the occurrences of those words. Turned, I have 264 of them. Look is even worse, there's 309. Seam 104, lean 89, barely 50, and trudge surprisingly is only 21. But I think that's such an uncommon word that whenever I do use it, it just pops up from the text. And these are the words that I really need to pay attention to when I'm working on the fourth draft, and I'll try to delete them or replace them with other words. So how I work is I use Microsoft Word, and I make a new file for every draft, and I also make a new file for every draft with the notes that I have. I find that very useful because then I can always go back and see, for example, wording that I've used in a previous draft, or find a comment that I've already deleted. So this is how I set up my Word document. I have the navigation pane on the left. If you don't have it, you can find it by pressing Ctrl F or going to the View tab and choosing Navigation pane. On the navigation pane, I can see the chapter titles. So if I want to move between chapters, that's easy. The numbers after the chapter title refer to word count in different drafts. And for some chapters, I also have a little note what the chapter is about. I use yellow highlight for words and sentences where I want to change the wording, and comments for any changes, like condense this paragraph, add this detail, change this, and so on. I use the old comment function in Word because the new one is just terrible for someone like me who constantly wants to edit the comments, because I'm basically drafting my edits and changes in the comments and not in the text itself. At this point, the manuscript has 1,791 comments, so there's quite a lot of things to do. My goal is to edit one chapter per week, and as there are 39 chapters, that means that I should be done right before Christmas, which, considering how long this manuscript is, isn't too bad. But I mean, I do envy people who manage to edit their manuscripts in a month. This week I'm editing chapter 1, and Hopefully I also have time to start chapter 2. We'll see how that goes. But it would be really good because I know that there are some chapters that might take me 2 weeks. Yesterday evening I read chapter 1 to reacquaint myself with it, and now I'm ready to start making changes, so let's go. Am I the only one who struggles with editing? I feel like whenever I start editing again, I need to relearn it and remind myself what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. I've been working on this for 3 hours and I've edited 2 pages, so it's really slow going, but at least I've made some progress. It's almost 4 p.m. and my brain doesn't really work anymore, so I think I'm going to take a break. I edited almost 4 pages, which is approximately half of the first chapter, and I will look at it again later this evening, but I'll continue vlogging tomorrow. Hello, it's Wednesday morning. I think I forgot to mention that yesterday was Tuesday. So yesterday evening I continued with chapter 1. I finished page 4, which was also the end of the first scene. There were a couple of tricky paragraphs there that took me quite a while. I needed to write a completely new paragraph and rewrite the ending of the scene. I also had time to look at the first paragraph of scene 2. That's also quite tricky because obviously this is chapter 1, so there needs to be quite a lot of world building. So in that paragraph I need to describe the house that the main character lives in, and I also need to hint at backstory, describe the living situation that he has had so far, and also make the story go forward, and all of this needs to happen within one paragraph. So today I'll continue with scene 2. The first 2 to 3 paragraphs are tricky, but after that there's dialogue, which should be easier. And then there's a couple of paragraphs where the main character moves from one village to another to go to school. And those paragraphs also need world building, description of the world, and also how the main character interacts with the world he lives in. So I need to fix those. But the end of scene 2 is dialogue, which is mostly fine, so that should be fast and easy to edit. Then there's scene 3, which is the last scene, where there's also dialogue, but that I need to change. But I'm hoping that I will at least get scene 2 done today. Yesterday I showed you clips of me actually making edits, but in reality, majority of my time I'm just staring at the screen thinking. It took me an hour to edit the first paragraph and another hour to edit the second paragraph. I'm taking a little snack break right now, and hopefully the editing will be a bit easier from now on. There was a bit of dialogue which was easier to edit, but I also needed to introduce a character and make sure that the character introduction makes sense. And now I'm at this transitional passage where the main character is moving from one village to another, and that is proving to be quite tricky. I've been working on this for over 4 hours and I haven't yet edited one whole page, so I think it's time for a break, and hopefully after that I can come back to it with more ideas. It's 4 p.m. I've been working for 7 hours. Today I've edited 3 pages, and what's more important, I finished scene 2. That was a really tricky scene, it took me the entire day. Now I only have scene 3, which hopefully is not as difficult. I will look at it this evening, but it's so long that I probably won't be able to finish it, so I will continue with it and hopefully finish chapter 1 tomorrow. It's Friday, I didn't vlog at all yesterday, but I did edit, so I thought I'd give you a little update of where I am at the moment. I finished chapter 1 and I started editing chapter 2. I deleted an entire scene from chapter 2 and I need to add part of the text into an earlier scene, so I presume that it will be a bit more difficult than chapter 1. I think I've mentioned a couple of times how I find editing difficult and how I can spend an entire hour just fixing one paragraph. But I want to make clear that this is not me struggling. As I was walking through chapter 1, I thought the text is mostly good, so I'm basically doing line edits and fine-tuning the writing. I know that in later chapters I need to do more substantial developmental edit type changes, so I expect to struggle a lot more with those. So at this point I'm glad I'm ahead of schedule. It has taken me less than a week to finish chapter 1 and I've already started chapter 2. I'll continue editing chapter 2 tomorrow on Saturday, but I'll end the vlog here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in my next video.